Hey guys, Toolman Tim here. Welcome back to the workshop where we create community, find freedom, promote preparedness, and share success. It's Tuesday morning, which means it's time for another edition of Toolbox Tuesday. And this week is yet another cool little gadget that I picked up. Now you guys know, most of you anyway, that even if I wasn't doing this channel, I would still buy 99% of the stuff that I review on here. I have a gadget addiction, an Amazon addiction, but I do run a handyman business, a property management business, and anytime I can buy a gadget that makes my life a little bit easier, I do just that. And recently we had a couple of instances where we needed to call in the natural gas company to do some sniffing and testing for us to make sure we didn't have carbon monoxide or natural gas floating around in the house. We even had one instance where the alarm went off and we weren't sure if it was a defective alarm or if it needed to be sniffed or sussed out and figure out what the issue was. So I figured it was time to up my carbon monoxide game. So I figured it was time to pick up this smart sensor carbon monoxide handheld detector. Alright guys, real quick before we dive in, if you want to know more about who I am, the quickest way is to go by toolmantim.co. You find the monthly newsletter, all my social media links, and the best part is the shop, where I've got way over 100 products that I recommend, stuff that I've used and abused, stuff that's made me money or saved me money in my handyman business. Ton of different categories: hand tools, painting tools, power tools, landscaping gear, technology stuff, and of course my most favorite, all the different preparedness items that I've reviewed or used in the past. Okay, so I want to share with you just a little bit about this. You know, recently we had a tenant in a property who had some medical issues, and you know, an acquaintance of them called me and said, you know, they're testing them for possible issues with carbon monoxide exposure, and we just wanted to make sure that we had, you know, that there was a working tester and everything in the house. And I got a little nervous because I'm like, well, I know we keep one in there. So luckily I had just picked this up, because we'd had a little scare here with an expired carbon monoxide that just kept randomly going off. And real quick, life pro tip, the lady on the phone told me, if you're not sure if it's defective or not, take it out to a known fresh air location, keep it plugged in out there, outdoors, and if it keeps going off, you know you have a defective alarm system. Anyway, really neat little tip. It helped me out a bit. So anyway, I went over to the tenant's property. There was nobody there at the time, and I started looking around, and I'll be damned, I couldn't find a carbon monoxide detector. But I thought, well, I got to do some testing. So I installed a new one just to make sure, and I walked around everywhere, you know, around the furnace, up and down the stairs, everywhere. And this thing just stayed at kind of the base level, you know, 0 to 5 is what is just kind of kicking around in the air all the time. And I thought, well, okay, this works, but I wasn't 100% convinced it worked because I didn't think we had a detector in the house. Anyway, I went back the next day during the day, even though I could have turned the lights on, and it turned out that we had a brand new, only 1-year-old smoke detector carbon monoxide combo unit up on the ceiling already. So I was able to take the other one back and use it in another property, which was cool. But it turned out, okay, well, that one's working. This one seems to be working. And I tested this on my tailpipe and on my exhaust vent for my hot water heater, and of course it set it off like crazy. I should have a little footage of that I'll show you somewhere along in here. And so it turned out, of course, that the gentleman was fine and didn't have that issue. But it just made me think I'd love to have one of these just to make sure. And, you know, I have to go into these properties and I want to have a little bit of peace of mind. I wasn't going to go out and buy the, you know, the $1,000 piece of sniffing gear that, you know, the local gas co-op has. At least not yet anyway. But I started doing some research on Amazon, and I looked and I found this guy right here. And you know what? It wasn't that bad. Let me see. The model number I'm going to tell you is st9700. Now, this is just the smart sensor brand. You'll see right there. There's 5 or 6. This is, again, like these imported gadgets that you find on Amazon all the time. They're really cool. They work, but they tend to be made under a whole bunch of different umbrellas. The reviews are really good. I actually forgot to write them down. I'll put that below here as we're going. It weighs just over 5 ounces or 150 grams in that made-up Canadian metric system. And its accuracy is plus or minus 10 parts per million, which is really not bad at all. It has 2 levels of warning, which are adjustable. So like a low level where It's okay to have a short-term exposure to it, but not long-term, and then the get the hell out of the Dodge level. They're adjustable just in case you're worried about it. Now, so this was the thing I wanted to tell you. Temperatures. It properly reads between 0 and 50 degrees Celsius or 32 and 122 degrees Fahrenheit, which for the most part is always going to be an issue because you're dealing with confined, enclosed spaces. You know, if it's below 0, you got other problems anyway. You probably have a furnace that isn't working. You probably want to bring an expert in. But for me, in 99.9% of the instances, I'm never going to need this in temperatures below 0 Celsius, 32 Fahrenheit. So it was just over $50 Canadian, which is a little less on the American site. But this thing, honestly, it's paid for itself already. I've used it in 2 different jobs. Give me a little better peace of mind, especially after I've tested it and had it come back positive a couple different times. So if you're definitely looking for something that you can use to, you know, this is what I like about this as well, okay? Now, you can also use this as, say, something to use during a power outage. So if you're using a propane heater in your home, and yeah, you might just say, for instance, you're not up to code and the only carbon monoxide detectors you have are the hardwired ones that don't have battery backup. Well, shit, your power's out. Okay, that's one thing. Now, how about this? How about you need to go into an enclosed room and heat it there because it's drop dead cold and it's a really, you know, it's an emergency. You want to keep the room warm, but you want to make sure you're safe. And the only carbon monoxide detector you have might be in the living room or the kitchen, and it's mounted and hardwired to the ceiling. So you'd like to have something mobile that you can take around with you. Well, this was the other reason I got this. Now, I did buy a battery-powered carbon monoxide detector with a 10-year battery in it that I'm also going to use. It's going to be portable. It's going to be one of those things that after I test it a bit, hopefully it'll get recommended in the generator gear section on the website. But I wanted something like this. Whenever I buy something, it has to have, you know, any prepper-related gear. I want it to have 2 uses. And the big one has to be the everyday or the quite often type use. And that's what this is for in my handyman businesses. I'm able to go in and get peace of mind for both the tenant and myself and, you know that I'm safe going in. And it's a tool that I'm going to use on a regular basis. However, it's also a prepper-related item because I can use it in a power outage, grid down situation, whatever it happens to be. If it's cold and you need to heat your house with, say, a little buddy heater and you're concerned about CO levels, this is the guy to do it. Or at least in one instance, you can just turn it on, set it on the counter. Now, another thing that I love about this, AAA batteries, baby. None of that 9-volt bullshit. I don't like them for nothing. Anyway, excuse me. AAAs, it came with its own crappy little throwaway batteries. I take them, I throw them in a drawer, and I give them to my kids when they ask for free batteries. But these, as soon as I got it, I switched them out for my Eneloop rechargeables, and it has worked really well since. I've kept it out here in the shop where it's gotten well below freezing already a bunch of times, and it seems to be working fine. Let's show you how it lights up here. It has a very loud beep, and then the first thing that really screwed me up when I turned it on was this countdown timer. I thought that it was the CO levels counting up or down. So it must have to calibrate, but it runs for about 20 seconds. It's kind of a bluish white color, really bright, and what I like about it is the alarm system is really friggin' ear piercing. So I'll get you in there a little closer. That reads right now 7.5 degrees Celsius where I'm filming. It shows you the battery level at the top, and then that big 0 in the middle is your current CO levels in the enclosed space that you're in. There's the sniffer sensor right there, and that's really all there is to it. You can go, let's see, we got mode. I never really got into, so it'll also do, so there's minimum, and let's go back, hold. So whatever the level's at, it'll hold it right there. Then it'll do just regular, and then of course, maximum. So, you know, if you're in an enclosed space and you need to know the maximum reading, of course, hit it on max. Right now it says 5. So hit it on maximum, walk around, and it's going to keep the highest level that it finds. Of course, minimum, it'll tell you what the absolute bare minimum best space in the area is. Yeah, that's it. Dead simple. Anybody can use it. I'll go back through and throw in a little bit of B-roll footage so you can see it at least by my tailpipe so you know that it does work. It's pretty impressive, actually. The thing squeals and beeps and lights up and flashes, and you think it's going to blow up or something. But yeah, I've been super happy with this. So I hope that is a pretty interesting review. This kind of fit the Toolbox Tuesday section a little more than, say, my normal Wednesday tool time reviews. But I wanted to share this with you. It's definitely a product that's gone into my extended toolbox at this point. And of course, it's also another gadget, and who doesn't love gadgets? So I wanted to show you guys at the end how exactly this thing works, and I thought maybe something was defective. I tested it before. It's a little below zero Celsius, and I really couldn't get a good reading on it. So let me show you. I got it in here right in the exhaust pipe, and I'm getting between 0 and 5. Now, I have to laugh because this is the difference. This is on my Ram 1500 from 2021. Now, let's switch over to my Ram 1500 from 2000, the year 2000. And look, I'm not even close to the tailpipe at all, and it's already registering. You get in close and it maxes out way over 1,000. So this thing definitely works. Just really funny on the emissions, the CO emissions between the old vehicle and the new vehicle. Just thought I'd throw that in there. Thought it was a little bit fun to see, and I knew somebody somewhere would say, you never showed how it worked. So I thought, hey, it's time to throw it in there and show you guys exactly how it works and the difference between the old trucks. So that's it for me this week, guys. If you're new and you want to stick around, hit the subscribe button. We got the 2 tool review videos every week, and we have 3 episodes of our podcast here. 2 live stream, 1 pre-recorded called The Workshop, where we talk about all things preparedness, entrepreneurship, freedom, independent living, the whole works. And so if you want to get exposure to more of that, hit the subscribe button, stick around, and if you like audio only, just search for Toolman Tim's The Workshop podcast in any podcatcher and you'll find it. Anyway, guys, that's it for me this week. So as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week.